So after years and years of the base Pro iPhone staying at $999, it seems this year we are actually getting price hikes. I know we hear this all the time and then Apple never changes the price, but obviously with the 20% US tariffs on goods from China in place, that does make price increases much more likely this year. However, Apple apparently will justify these price hikes with design changes and new features rather than attributing them to US tariffs on goods from China. According to supply chain sources, Apple would have trouble making up for China tariff costs solely by seeking further savings from its suppliers, meaning a hit to its profit margins were likely unless they could raise prices. At the same time, company execs are wary of blaming increases on tariffs. When a news report in April said Amazon might show its impact tariffs to its shoppers, the White House called it a hostile act and Amazon quickly responded saying the idea was never approved and it's not going to happen. So basically Apple doesn't want to piss off Trump, and so as a result, Apple will be finding other reasons other than tariffs to explain the move. Now, which new features will justify the price increase were not determined, but I guess the iPhone 17's new design may play a factor. The Air and Pro will look visually different and would stand out compared to older iPhone models, helping justify a price increase. But also I think there is a possibility we see storage upgrades. It certainly would be nice if the base models were 256 gigs and the Pros were 512 gigs, but that may be too generous. So it's possible the regular 17 stays at 128 gigs, but the Air Pro go up to 256 gigs. You may be thinking though, why not move production outside of China? Well, Apple has built up inventory and shifted manufacturing for the US market to India. Tim Cook even stated earlier this month that a majority of iPhones shipped to the US in the April to June quarter would come from India. However, Chinese factories will have to continue handling most production for the Pro and Pro Max, as India's infrastructure and technical capabilities aren't yet sufficient to support mass production at China's scale. So what are we thinking could be the new prices? Well, I don't think in 1 year prices will go above $100. The absolute worst case scenario is the iPhone 17 starting at $899, the 17s starting at $999, the 17 Pro starting at $1099, and the 17 Pro Max starting at $1299. Whether these phones can justify that small price increase remains to be seen. I mean, yes, as I said, the design is changing and there'll be the usual performance and camera upgrades, but these are by no means groundbreaking changes, and with inflation already bad as is, it's going to be hard for consumers to justify this, which makes older iPhones even more enticing. You know what else is enticing? Clicking that subscribe button. So do it now. It's free and it'll bring you the latest about Apple right to your subscription box, so please consider it. Join the Saran Bite gang now. And the bad news continues, because it seems when you make an iPhone razor thin, the battery also is going to be razor thin, and we have news that there are concerns about the battery life on iPhone 17 Air, and so Apple will be relaunching the MagSafe power bank to fix this, making it even thicker and defeating the purpose of a thin phone. This information comes from The Information, and they tell us that in internal testing, only 60 to 70% of iPhone users will be able to use a 17 Air for a full day of usage, which is below the 80 to 90% metric Apple was targeting. And so as a result, Apple will be relaunching the MagSafe power bank to mitigate this. They'd originally launched this with the iPhone 12 series, but then discontinued them in 2023 when Apple shifted to USB-C accessories and wanted to get rid of Lightning. So I'm assuming this new MagSafe power bank will look the same, but will just come with the USB-C port instead. Now I can't lie, this is disappointing news. Earlier rumors had said this iPhone wouldn't be that much worse endurance-wise because it would include a high-density battery, which allows a lot of energy to be stored within a small physical space, and so it seemed Apple might be able to give us a 4,300 or 4,400 mAh battery in this iPhone, which wouldn't be too bad considering the Plus right now has a 4,674 mAh cell. I mean, we have Android phones packing in 6,000 mAh batteries in relatively slim packages, and so it seemed Apple could do the same. But it seems that maybe Apple can't scale up that technology, and so I'm assuming the physical battery is going to take a massive hit. We do have the C1 modem, which should help with efficiency, since we did see battery gains with the iPhone 16e, but either way, if you have to rely on a power bank to get through a regular day of usage, then this phone is kind of doomed. I mean, as I said earlier in the video, the whole point of this phone is that it's razor thin, but if you're going to be using it with a power bank most of the time, then why buy this? I mean, the Mini also had battery issues, but at least it offered a compact form factor that no other iPhone had. The Air will feel like pretty much every other big screen iPhone. The thinness was its biggest selling point, but once you slap a power bank on it, the USB becomes redundant. But at the very least, you don't have to worry about this iPhone bending in your pocket, because apparently it's going to use a mix of aluminium and titanium, and we saw how Apple improved the structural integrity with the iPad Pro despite making the chassis thinner, so you should not have to worry about the Air being 5.5mm thick. Apple also went with a 6.6-inch display to prevent it from bending, since the original plan was to make this as big as the Pro Max. And ultimately, don't get me wrong, aesthetically this iPhone will still look amazing, and it's going to be an engineering marvel that they've made this so thin and also managed to still fit in the action button and camera control, but I'm really worried about battery life. Now, if you were like me and you were excited for the anti-reflective coating coming to the iPhone 17 Pro, that's been cancelled. So earlier, leaker Instant Digital told us that similar to the Galaxy S24 and S25 Ultra, the iPhone 17 Pro could use an anti-reflective display, which would make the display more visible when outdoors in direct sunlight. However, it seems that Apple ran into problems scaling up the display coating process. Adding this coating to the millions of devices Apple produces would have taken longer than expected, and Apple obviously wants production to go smoothly as possible, and so as a result, it's been cancelled. The new coating was also supposed to be more scratch resistant, so it seems Apple's just gonna stick to the newer version of ceramic shields that was introduced with the iPhone 16 series. And I know for those who use a screen protector, the anti-reflective coating does not make a difference, but either way, this would have been a cool upgrade, and so I'm kinda bummed it's not coming to the iPhone 17. But you know what groundbreaking change is coming to the Pro models? A new colour! But it's not just any color, because the Sierra Blue iPhone 13 Pro has been reborn, guys. We have news that we could get a sky blue color option on the 17 Pros, and this gets me tingling. So previously, John Prosser told us he had seen a silver, black and white iPhone 17 Pro, and I was pretty disappointed by this news, because with Apple switching to aluminium on iPhone 17 Pro, I thought we could see more exciting colors with the Pro models, and silver, black and white is not that. However, now we have a leak from Mijimbu telling us the sky blue shade we saw with the MacBook Air may also come to the iPhone, and while if you mock this up, this looks eerily similar to Sierra Blue from the iPhone 13 Pro series. Mijimbu does tell us it'll be a more refined version of that shade. Whatever that means, how exactly can you refine a color? I have no idea, but he does also say it's going to look brighter, which I hope is the case. It shouldn't look grey in most lighting conditions. But honestly, as much as I love Sierra Blue, I do hope we see more saturated finishes as well, similar to the colors on the regular models. Mijimbu does say Apple's testing other colors right now, and nothing's really been finalized. So we shall wait and see what Apple ends up doing. Imagine something as punchy as ultramarine on the Pro models. That would be great. If you're hoping to see faster charging iPhones, we have news that won't be the case with iPhone 17. Analyst Jeff Pugh tells us the complete iPhone 17 range will support 35-watt wide charging, which is about the same as the iPhone 16 series. I know some may be bummed out by this, considering many Android flagships offer 50-watt charging speeds, but honestly, I'm not too annoyed by this. I'd much rather Apple give us larger batteries and make these phones last longer, in which case you would only have to charge your phone overnight. And thankfully that is the case with at least the Pro models. The Pro Max in particular is getting a larger battery. Obviously the Air may have battery concerns, but hopefully it's not as bad as these rumors are claiming. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching.